we definitely live in a world of convenience where everything is done for us, and we're not used to thinking that maybe there's a lot of things we could be doing for ourselves. It's another one in my Unpopular Opinion series, and today we're going to talk about the fact that if you're going to drive older cars like I've been talking about, then you might have to learn to turn some wrenches. Now, let me make the caveat and say you can pay people to work on these cars. But I'm going to talk about the world that I grew up in, because I'm a real old fart. Okay, boomer. I can hear all the comments already. Let it go, okay? Hear what I have to say. Stick around. I'm Mike. You're watching My Car Shop. I was talking about this in a recent video that it is not abnormal in the world that I grew up in to have your car break down and you're on the side of the road and you have to get out your toolbox and you have to tinker on something to get it home. And that's a little different world than today when your car breaks down and you pull over to the side of the road and all you got is a computer and you have no idea how to fix anything, and that's the way new cars are. But I want to talk about that world where automotive breakdowns were just a normal part of life. Now, I'm not saying they were a regular part of life. In fact, as I said in a recent video, my new cars have broken down and left me stranded on the side of the road requiring a tow truck way more than my old cars ever have throughout my entire life, including today. In fact, I've never had to have one of my old cars towed home in decades that I can recall. Maybe, I don't remember any. But I've definitely had, one time the Oakland ran out of gas and my neighbor towed me a quarter mile so I didn't have to walk and get a gas can. That was on me. I ran out of gas. That could be true with any car. But anyway, it's been my newer cars, my 2013, 14, 15, 18, etc. cars. Those are the ones that I've had to call tow trucks to come and get. Rarely, if ever, an old one. I'm not saying I haven't had to pop the hood to tinker here and there, but it's a different world because there's not much you can do on a newer car. Now, there's a requirement there. I get it. Not everybody has the skill, but there's something about skill that is different than requiring technology, because yeah, I suppose you can require a technology, but who's going to carry an engine scanner and all the required components to fix their car when it's on the side of the road versus who's going to carry a toolbox which consists of a few wrenches, a screwdriver, a ratchet, and maybe a hammer, and they can tinker on something to nurse their car and get it home. And here's the thing. You may not know how to do any of that. Drive an old car for a while and have a willingness to learn, and you'll learn pretty fast. I mean, let's face it. When I first started driving, I didn't have skill. I knew nothing. I was Sergeant Schultz. I knew nothing. That was terrible. But I learned because stuff happened and I had to figure it out. And I think that's a different mindset today than it was back in the day, partly because of the world. All the new stuff, nobody can figure it out for the most part without special tools and equipment. And they're not used to thinking. We're not used to thinking that way, that, if I have some basic hand tools, I can probably figure this out and nurse this thing and get it home. So the number one challenge is, and this generation has an advantage that I didn't. The number one thing is, are you willing? And some of you would say, well, why the heck should I put up with that crap? I could just call the tow truck and take it to the shop and get it fixed. Okay, this video is not for you. That's not who I'm talking to. That's not what I'm talking about. This still happens to me on a regular basis. My cell phone rings and it's somebody who's having a problem either at home or somewhere out and about. My car's doing blah, blah, blah. What should I look at? And if it's usually the older cars, but not always. But my first thoughts are, okay, let's take a look at this, let's take a look at that. Depending on the symptoms, a lot of times I can point somebody in a direction to help them figure it out so they can get the thing home and then we can work on it later. Sometimes I have to jump in the car and go help them, I admit that. But the reality is, on the older stuff, it's pretty simple. And what you have that I didn't have back in the day is a cell phone. You can call somebody on the spot and say, help! I'm not saying driving an older car, you'll never have to get it towed. Catastrophic failures happen. But a lot of simple stuff we can't even begin to think about doing on new cars, and we can do a lot on the old ones. The question is, Are you willing to get your hands dirty and get your sleeves dirty and roll up, get the elbow grease involved and get after it, and figure it out and learn? Because that's the number one requirement in any of it, is to learn. Are you willing to learn? If you're not, move on. I listen to my peers, all the people around me grumbling and complaining about the younger generation, and they're this and they're that and they're this and they're that. And I think, oh my God, we've turned into our grandparents, because I remember hearing my grandfather say almost the exact same words, minus some of the expletives. This car was parked all winter. There's a few episodes here on the channel of some stuff I was fixing. The other day, all of a sudden the brake pedal was acting weird. I'm like, what if I sprung a leak? I got to Walmart and I looked under the car, it was dry. I popped off the master cylinder cover, and for some reason the fluid was a little low enough that it was affecting pedal feel. So while I was in Walmart, I grabbed a small bottle of .4, which is compatible with .3, and topped it off, and we're in like Flynn. The brakes are golden again. Simple thing. I didn't have to take it to a shop. And it was experience that with these old brake systems, for some reason, I don't know why. It's probably because the shoes are wearing and the system is using more and more, and the reservoirs are about the size of a thimble, and it doesn't take long because of the auto adjusters for the fluid in the system to go lower in level. And I probably haven't looked at it for a couple years. The last time I looked at the brakes on this car, there'd be a video on the channel. You can go back and figure that one out. Okay, but maybe you can't figure it out, and you do have to get it towed, and you have to get it somewhere to get it fixed, and hopefully you know somebody like me who can pretty much fix any old car, or you have a reputable mechanic who's old like me and is familiar with, because we cut our teeth on this stuff way back in the 70s and the 80s. And we love working on this stuff because it's so simple compared to these modern computers that everybody drives. So find yourself somebody like that in your back pocket. If you're going to get the hands on, find somebody who's willing to work with you and teach you. Find a mechanic who can help you, but who's also willing to impart knowledge, because all of us old farts are dying off. In the next 20, 30 years, the old farts are going to be gone, and you're going to be the old fart. Admittedly, in my younger days, before I went to tech school to be a mechanic, because I was a certified mechanic for years, but before that, I just had a natural inclination to fix stuff. I didn't learn this stuff it wasn't handed down to me from the generations. My dad worked on cars and fixed what needed to be fixed, and he even swapped a motor. My grandpa worked on cars, and my uncle worked on cars, but I never really worked on cars with him. I was too young. However, I was the guy who was always dragging some piece of crap home and tearing it apart and trying to figure out how it works. I was the guy that was bringing home the old bicycles and the old lawnmowers, getting them running, and it's just been my natural fascination and my natural inclination. And before that, I was probably tearing apart model trains, much to my dad's chagrin, or other mechanical stuff that I had. I do definitely remember electrocuting myself a few times with 110 volts because I didn't know what I was doing. And, well, I didn't kill myself, and I did learn some lessons. And I think that's part of it, is you have to be willing to learn, but you also have to understand that you can learn. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. I've always believed that if somebody else can make it, I can figure it out. You start learning the systems, the fuel system, the electrical system, the ignition system, the brake system, the steering system, the propulsion system, I don't know, whatever they are. And as you start to go, okay, my car is acting like this, and immediately your mind processes, what system is that? It's doing this. Sounds like a fuel system problem. Once in a while a float sticks on this carburetor, and I automatically know, got a problem in the carburetor, which is a fuel system issue, and usually I just have to take a screwdriver and tap the carburetor because I'm too cheap to put new needle valves in it, which is all it needs, and it's about a 5-minute job. But, why spend the money if I don't have to, when I can go tappy tap, and it's all taken care of. Yes, it's helpful if you've gotten some basic hands-on mechanic classes. Adult ed classes offer basic auto mechanics. If you're fascinated and interested, go take one. They don't cost much, if anything, in some places. If you're in high school, take an auto tech shop. There's all kinds of options if you want to learn. If you're older, go to the adult ed classes or hang out with other guys that know more than you. There's a lot to be learned out there that's free. I mean, you guys got YouTube. You got channels like mine who show you how not to do everything, how you shouldn't do anything. Channels like mine that teach you the basic things of what you can do if you're just too stupid to take no for an answer. All right, that's it for this one. I appreciate you being here. Like, share, subscribe. We have channel memberships for as little as $5 a month. I'd love to see you over there in the membership. You get access to all kinds of behind-the-scenes content. And one more thing, at My Car Shop, it is the most important.